Hello everyone, welcome to our concepts पढ़ाएंगे सबको सिखाएंगे campaign video and in this video I'll be discussing about the concept of lifting or piercing of the corporate veil. So lifting और piercing of the corporate veil क्या है इसको समझने के लिए हम सबसे पहले समझेंगे कि corporate veil का क्या मतलब होता है and then हम समझेंगे कि वैसे कौन से circumstances है situations है जब there can be a lifting or piercing of the corporate veil. Do remember to subscribe to our channel and press on the bell icon so that you can stay tuned and stay updated. अगर आपको कोई भी questions हो queries हो आप हमें कॉल कर सकते हो उस नंबर पे या आप हमें मेल भी कर सकते हो उस आईडी पे and you can even visit our website where you can get all the details with respect to the upcoming government exams. Now corporate veil अगर हम बिल्कुल simple terms में इसको समझे corporate veil. So corporate का मतलब हो गया company and veil का मतलब आप समझ सकते हो पर्दा. So there is a curtain between the company and whom. So that is basically what we are going to talk over here. So there is a demarcation, a distinction between the company and the members who have formed it. ठीक है. So corporate veil जो एक legal concept है जो कि separate करता है किसको company को और उसके members. Company on being incorporated जब company incorporate करते हैं form करते हैं when it is registered वो company जो है उसे एक legal status मिल जाता है that is a separate legal entity का. So once the company gets itself registered, it is being incorporated. From that very moment उस कंपनी का अपना एक separate legal entity होता है which is one of the important features of a company. Okay, so this separate legal entity is what makes a difference between the company and the members who have formed it. Okay, so status of company as a separate legal entity that is demarcating, that is differentiating किसको status of the members or the shareholders and the company. So जो लोग उस कंपनी को बनाए हैं उनके बीच में और कंपनी के बीच में there is a demarcation which is created. Okay, that is through the separate legal existence of the company. So we know a company is a corporate person, it has a separate legal entity. Okay, and so once it gets incorporated, a corporate veil, a curtain that is being created between the company and whom the human agency or the shareholders or the members who have formed it. Okay, so basically अगर हम practically देखें तो कंपनी का जो है it is an artificial legal person. It is not a human person or it is not having biological existence through which it can do anything on its own. ठीक है. So ये जो corporate person है it's an artificial corporate person. Real तो है नहीं कि कंपनी एक existence आ गई उसकी उसका नाम आ गया तो वो खुद से सब कुछ कर लेगा. What happens is the people, the human agency, they are basically the ones behind that corporate entity who are taking the decisions, who are managing the day-to-day affairs and all. So at times when it is important or there are situations or circumstances that the difference which has been created through this veil between these two categories, the person and the human agency, that should be lifted, then there comes the concept of lifting of corporate veil. तो वो हम आगे देखेंगे. यहाँ पे जो है corporate veil का मतलब आप समझ गए ये एक कंपनी है, एक ये लोग हैं जो उसे फॉर्म किए हैं. ठीक है. जब कंपनी अपने आप को जाके रजिस्टर करवा लेती है, इनकॉर्पोरेट कर लेती है, उसका अपना एक नेम हो जाता है. From that very moment the company gets its separate legal entity, it has a legal existence. But क्योंकि legal existence होने के बाद भी कंपनी artificial person है, अपने से सब कुछ नहीं कर सकती है. Okay, only its name can be used. So there are instances, there are circumstances when that is being misused by these human agencies. और तब जो है रोल में आता है कि इस पर्दे को उठाया जाए, हटाया जाए and इन दोनों को one and the same देखा जाए क्योंकि कंपनी खुद से तो कुछ कर नहीं रहा है. ये ह्यूमन एजेंसीज जो है बेसिकली एक्ट कर रही है. their brain is being used, they are being acting with respect to the decisions taken, and so if the circumstances suggest so there is misuse of this separate legal entity of the company, then this veil should be lifted. तो अब हम आगे बढ़ेंगे और समझेंगे lifting of the corporate veil, जो कि हमारा second question दिमाग में आएगा. Okay, corporate veil हमने समझ लिया what is it. It is demarcation of the status of the company from its members or shareholders. But then what does lifting of the corporate veil that means, or piercing of the corporate veil, as you can understand that. So आपको मैंने यही बताया था कि पहले हमने क्या देखा था, कंपनी एक साइड में थी, ह्यूमन एजेंसी एक साइड में थे, बीच में कर्टेन था, देयर वाज अ demarcation of status between them. Okay, but now when there is a lifting of corporate veil, then these are considered as one and the same. Okay, because it is a human brain agency which is taking all the decision, and so this curtain that has been lifted, it no longer exists. So that is what is lifting of corporate veil. Lifting or piercing of corporate veil, so ignoring the separate identity, separate legal identity of a company, या disregarding its corporate personality. So ignore करना होगा separate legal identity जो कंपनी का है या उसका corporate personality को disregard करना पड़ेगा, and then separate identity को क्यों इग्नोर करना पड़ेगा, so that the real persons, the real human agency who are using their brain, who are controlling the company, they can be held liable if there is any fraudulent or dishonest use of the legal entity. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि जब भी कंपनी बनती है तो जो लोग उसे बनाते हैं, everything works on an ethical ground, on a legal ground, and everything is done as per the law. There are many situations and circumstances in the recent past we have seen that when this particular corporate existence of the company that has been misused by the real persons, the human agencies who are controlling it, who are managing the day-to-day affairs of the company. So उस सारे circumstances में जब fraud हो, जब dishonest use हो रहा हो उस company का, तो ये बहुत जरूरी होता है कि जो human agency है और जो company है उसको one and the same माना जाए. Human agency should be held liable, and so the curtain has to be removed between them so as to make them liable. Now ये जो lifting or piercing of the corporate veil है, when fraud occurs or there is dishonest use of the legal entity, then it can be lifted. So there are certain circumstances in which the veil can be lifted, and that is the statutory provisions, one of them, and second is the judicial interpretations. अब statutory provision और judicial interpretation का क्या मतलब हो गया? Statutory provision का basically मतलब हो गया कि जो हमारा statute है, जो हमारा Companies Act है, already उसमें provisions दिए हुए हैं कि अगर certain compliances जो है वो अगर fulfill नहीं हो रही है, people are not obeying those or complying those laws or provisions, then they will be held liable. Okay, जैसे कि जहाँ भी आपको दिखेगा there is a punishment with respect to the people associated with the company, so वो imprisonment जहाँ भी mention होता है, that basically implies a statutory provision with respect to the circumstances where the corporate veil has been lifted, and so those human agencies, they have been held liable or accountable. जैसे कि अगर there is any misstatement in the company's prospectus हमें पता है बहुत important document. So now this prospectus has to be fair and all the details have to be true and correct. But इस prospectus में बहुत बार जो है there are statements which are not true and correct. So the Companies Act provides under section 26 there are circumstances where there will be liability with respect to the misstatement in the prospectus, and so that is basically talking about that is the statutory provision जो कि हमारे Companies Act में दिया है. Certain members required होते हैं एक कंपनी को फॉर्म करने के लिए, जो कि हमारा बहुत बेसिक है कंपनी इनकॉर्पोरेशन से रिलेटेड. ठीक है कि व्हाट इज द मिनिमम रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ मेंबर्स. सो अगर वो जो रिक्वायरमेंट है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू मेंबरशिप जो भी कंपनीज एक्ट में प्रिस्क्राइब्ड है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू डिफरेंट कंपनीज, इफ दैट इज अगेन नॉट कंप्लाइड विद और देयर इज अ रिडक्शन उस रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ मेंबरशिप में, देन ऑल्सो देयर इज लाइबिलिटी ऑफ द पर्सन्स हु आर गोइंग अहेड and carrying on the business of the company at that particular time. So ये सारे statutory provisions है. So statutory provision मतलब Companies Act के अंदर ही जो provisions दिए हुए हैं जहाँ की the human agency has been held liable for anything which has been done in the name of the corporate person. Okay. Now if we talk about judicial interpretation, so there are circumstances जब Companies Act में no provisions with respect to lifting of the corporate veil where जो corporate veil है उसको हटाया जा सकता है. There could be various circumstances. So जब courts would go ahead करती है depending upon the circumstances the case and it lifts the corporate veil, then it is the circumstance of judicial interpretation. यहाँ पे Companies Act में कुछ भी नहीं prescribed है with respect to the things done by the human agency. So उस circumstances में court जो है will take a step ahead and will see that if the circumstances are so that it veil है को लिफ्ट किया जाए and the human agency, the people behind that particular corporate entity, they should be held liable, then in that case the courts will go ahead and do that. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि कंपनीज को फॉर्म किया जाता है टैक्स को इवेट करने के लिए too. So when the company is basically formed with the very objective of evading the tax, उस circumstances में अगर the situation or the case is witnessing so, then the courts will be lifting corporate veil so as to see or help those people who are misusing the corporate existence of that particular entity for going ahead and protecting themselves from the tax liability or for tax evasion situations, या फिर कोई भी कंपनी अगर फ्रॉड कमिट करने के इंटेंशन से ही बनाया गया है और so उन सारे circumstances में the court will be going ahead and lifting the very corporate veil, and there the human agency and the corporate, they will be considered as one and the same. There will be no difference between them because this is the human brain or agency, जैसा मैंने पहले कहा, जो कि सारे acts कर रही है corporate के लिए, and so they will be held accountable with respect to those acts which they have done or committed and they have misused the corporate existence of the company. Stay tuned to our channel and prepare 50% faster for your competitive exams with us.